So how does a bank decide whether it wants to borrow from the money market or retail deposits?
That's where they give you predictive indicators, so you prevent the panic. There is going to be a withdrawal in the next 2 weeks, and you have to beef up your treasury, you have to beef up your liquidity. So you put in.
How does AI actually help with currency risk?
Currency risk management is an excellent opportunity through AI. Supply and demand for the currency, US dollar or Japanese yen or British pounds or Swiss francs or euro or Chinese yuan. So it's a technical subject. AI can simplify it. That's the advantage you have, and that's what exactly required.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Green Generation podcast, where we decode everything about finance, sustainability, and how we can be more responsible in our everyday actions. And today's episode is largely about treasury management. I am Shruti Seetharaman, your host, media entrepreneur, and someone who's also extremely curious about how we can make more sustainable decisions to make our life more sustainable and better. Joining me today in conversation is Dr. Seetharaman, who is a leading global voice for a long time in corporate finance, an advocate of sustainability, and also an author of The Corporate Consciousness. Welcome.
Thank you.
Again. Okay, so now today's question that we're going to try and address is AI quietly becoming the brain behind bank treasuries? So to address that, where we're talking about AI and liquidity forecasting, What is the biggest stress point in bank treasury, you think?
You said it. It's liquidity. The dynamic liquidity measurement is very, very important. So if you look at the money supply in the economy, interbanks, and the inflow and outflow, if foreign exchange is permitted, essentially you have liquidity management as a single most treasury job. So there are customer deposits, savings or current account, or fixed deposits or other forms. Again, capital allocation, effective risk-weighted capital allocation for optimization and compliance to capital adequacy. Ensuring you have cost-effective fund management. So it's all confined to liquidity. Liquidity crisis moved into a funding crisis can move into a solvency can move into a sovereign crisis. You should know that.
Okay. And how do you think AI changes that?
AI gives a predictive intelligence for liquidity management. Essentially, a dynamic forecasting, making sure you have a proper interpretation of the outflows and inflows. If it is a foreign currency management, currency gap, the inflow and outflow, the cumulative gap, yesterday, today to over the years. What's the cumulative gap? You need to fund it. You need to make sure the currency gap has got risk management principles. So you have to make sure you square the position as far as possible. Or if you have short-term position or long-term position, it's your ability to arbitrage. So all these are integral part of the AI functional management, and it can throw the data to make sure that you have optimization effectively, utilizing the overall value-driven treasury. Or money-making skills comes out of AI interpretation as well.
Yeah, so to bring up something, a case study related to AI and treasury management is that I read that there was a bank that reduced last-minute emergency borrowing because AI was able to predict the outflow 48 hours before.
It is. There are many case studies. Say, the predictive intelligence, what it will tell you is what is likely to happen in the next 3 days or 6 days or seasons. And then you can always interpret how much cash you should keep, because you know the inflows, you know the outflows. Seasonal changes are also taking place. So consumer spending habits, institutional, outlay, inflow or outflow rather. So all these are integral part of the AI prediction that will sum it up and give you a forecast.
Good to say less panic, more precision, but bringing us to that there is something called the 4 p.m. panic.
Yes.
That seems to be a treasury. Treasuries usually fear that. Why do they?
Bankers are used to it. See, when you say 4 p.m., if you look at the clearing accounts, where the central bank matching concept takes place and we honor our payments, and then we look at in the evening, but at the same time, you're also conscious that it is worldwide exchange. If you are managing foreign currency, there will be outflows or inflows, and it's all happened the later part of the day. How do you fund it? How do you make sure that there is no overdraft requirement? Because you can't go to the last minute when the institutions are closed, right? Your treasury can overnight can exist, but borrowing, you may not have options.
Yeah.
So you have to necessarily make sure this 4 p.m. is a concept around the world. Even if you look at, you will come to know the deficit immediately. You fix it in terms of borrowings or placements. It's a meaningful prediction. AI can assist.
So large payments are not morning people. They're later part of the day.
Absolutely.
Very interesting. And what about AI in this aspect?
AI give you the pattern. AI give you the seasonal index. AI give you the overall dynamic liquidity forecasting. And also when there are sensational events in terms of geopolitical factors or conflicts, it will also give you a constrained liquidity focus, because you cannot borrow in international market just like that. So during COVID time, this AI played a big role in terms of dynamic liquidity management. And AI is a very effective tool in measuring, managing, and controlling the treasury.
Absolutely. I think a case study about liquidity pressure being predicted or flagged 3 hours earlier by AI led to a bank avoiding regulatory penalties.
There are many cases. There are banks who have collapsed because not lack of application. It was giving an early warning for Credit Suisse. But regulators should have prevented it, but they didn't. They thought, it's 167 years old institution. It will survive, but collapsed. There is a run on the banks. It's reputation, isn't it? In what happens in one part of the world resonates in other parts. And if your numbers are tempting others to say what they want to say, that sometimes even the rumor mill will also take over, and the liquidity becomes a very, very sensitive issue. It has happened in Credit Suisse. It happened in Signature Bank, Silicon Valley Bank.
Yeah.
So when people started losing trust, they withdraw the money. The bank is in a bad shape.
So for money flow, I think it's like Google Maps.
It is the right interpretation, if I have to say.
So not all deposits are stable though, right?
Fixed deposit, for example, is stable. Current account and again, call account, they have their own savings account. They can, if you look at the maturity bucket, saving, whether it's stable or not, there is a parameter. It's again, AI can play a role in terms of the maturity bucket, interpretations, consumer behavior patterns it can throw. So you can see what is the cumulative gap we need to fix it today, tomorrow, 6 months, or a year. Because you may have borrowings you have to repay, the cash outflow will be significant. Fixed deposits goes in from the sovereign side, hundreds of millions of dollars going out on one day will have consequential impact. So you have to make sure you use the tool and productively deploy the funds.
So tell us, what is the stickiness score that they say AI can predict?
Stickiness means what deposits will stay with you. There are stable borrowings, right? So depending upon the maturity. If I borrow for perpetuity, the borrowing is fixed for unless you call it and want to pay back the bondholders. Similarly, 5-year debt, senior debt or subordinated debt, depending upon the period, fixed maturity you have proper interpretation. So stickiness can be calculated. AI can play a role in calculating that based on term maturity. And again, a right weightage for stickiness for those even dynamic deposits like fixed deposits or or current account or savings account can also be, risk weightage can be assessed through AI. And overall, summing it up, you will have the value advantage.
So how does a bank decide whether it wants to borrow from the money market or retail deposits?
That's where they give you predictive, indicators, so you prevent the panic. So there is going to be a withdrawal in the next 2 weeks, and you have to beef up your treasury. You have to beef up your liquidity. So you put in effective measures in terms of interest rate or borrowings, and make sure the gap which is likely to come in 2 weeks' time, you fix it by risk management, interpretation of the financial risk, and also the market dynamics in terms of liquidity, whether local currency or foreign currency. All these factors will play a role.
Interesting. But I know this sounds technical, but what's collateral optimization actually?
Collateral optimization is AI can interpret the risk weightage, which instrument you should release. If it is a sovereign instrument, you can borrow cheaper, right? If you have bonds, government bonds, it's easy for you to collateralize and get a lower interest when it comes to borrowing. So which instrument, which country matters. Which company, again, matters. So based on those collaterals, you will decide how to clearly interpret your dynamic liquidity and make the moves.
So how does AI actually help with currency risk?
It's important that we understand currency risk management is an excellent opportunity through AI. See, we have a foreign exchange management in terms of economic indicators, and again, supply and demand for the currency, US dollar or Japanese yen or British pounds or Swiss francs or euro or Chinese yuan. You can interpret the way you deem fit based on economic indicators. And these are dynamic changes based on political developments as well as economic development. So the currency is a barometer of an economy. So economic fundamentals will play a role as well. So when these changes taking place on a daily basis, currency rates also changes. When currencies are fixed with parity linked to certain currencies, again, based on the monetary policy, the currency management has to be interpreted. So it's a technical subject. AI can simplify it. That's the advantage you have. And that's what exactly required. So use these tools and amplify your opportunity to make sure that you have optimization in making money.
So AI does have a role to play in preventing financial...
Significant role.
Okay. And now what I want to talk about is, are we moving towards AI replacing treasury teams itself?
No way. See, AI can be an interpreter. AI can give you the pattern. But the solution lies with how you articulate this and convert into actionable initiatives. That lies with the Treasury team. So in no terms, I can say, no, in uncertain terms, you will have this confusion. AI will not replace any human beings apart from manual repetitive task. Skill enhancement is required. Upskilling is important, especially in intricate subjects like banking. AI can be a great enabler to upskill yourself and enhance the productivity, optimization of the resources in terms of treasury management.
Yeah, and I think we should follow this simple formula. What I like to say is human judgment plus machine intelligence. Right?
Combination of both. That's why hybrid model.
Yeah.
You need machine language. You need a human being. This will work together to enhance the quality of the delivery.
Yeah, and I think what's safe to understand is that it's not about robots controlling money or any bot. It's about predicting risk. It's about preventing panic, like you said. It's about optimizing capital and also building financial resilience. It's about upgrading, not replacing, for us to make smarter decisions and more predictive decisions and be more prepared, I think.
The society as a whole is getting intelligence.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful opportunity to embrace it and start having a positive interpretation for your enhancement and performance optimization.
Yeah, and a world that is leading more towards sustainable development. it's so much more important to understand financial systems matter.
Absolutely.
Right? And
Absolutely.
I hope this episode was able to decode a little bit of that for you guys. If you did enjoy watching this, don't forget to stay tuned, and we will see you in the next one.
It is technical, but we try to simplify it. It's one of the important area where in banking, artificial intelligence is going to play a very significant role.
Tell us in the comments if you think we simplified it enough. If not, feel free to shoot more questions and we will answer them.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for watching.